Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and today I thought I would share with you the technique I'm going to be using, the inking and the stamping for my next tutorial. And I'm going to be doing a large folio, and this is going to go on the outside in a place where it doesn't disturb when you open it all up. So I've got some leaves here and I've got the main flower, and we'll just need one flower. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using, so in case you want to get ready for the tutorial, you can make this. Alright, so, and also I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the paper and show you kind of my ideas for the cover. It's going to look really cool. So what we got here is I am die cutting. And if you are not a die cutter, you can do whatever flower or leaves that you would like. So right now I'm just focusing on showing those who want to die cut and do their own flowers. So what I'm using is the Heartfelt Creations Dazzling Dahlia stamp and the coordinating Dazzling Dahlia die. And those of you that have asked me several times to just kind of show you how to die cut, I will demonstrate that for you. It's very easy, and so I'm not going to get into the whole works of how a big shot die cutting machine works, but I will show you just how easy it is to die cut, stamp, and die cut. Okay, so what you're going to need is maybe some 65-pound white cardstock, and I'm going to set these off to the side. And I showed you the die and the stamp, and we have those in our store, a few of them. I'm also going to be using the Leafy Accent stamp and the Leafy Accents die, and that is to get this. Now, if you have some leaf die already, and the stamps or whatever you want to use, like say you don't have the vine type, maybe you only have this, you can use those and just kind of layer them into a vine effect. And once we get this done, then I'm going to show you the sneak peek of my idea for the cover. The cover is going to be similar to my Lady Vagabond, but on the inside we're going to have something different going on in there. Okay, so let's start this. Inks. Inks that I'm going to be using for this flower is a variety to get this. And I've got the Tim Holtz Distress Inks. If you have other inks at home, use them if you think that it's going to look good. I'm using Seedless Preserves, Spun Sugar, Squeezed Lemonade, Milled Lavender, and for my leaves, I like the two-tone look, Peeled Paint, Crushed Olive. Now to get this glossy effect on my flower, what I'm using is the Glossy Accents. And it's a medium as well, so when you put it on, I like to use an old paintbrush, and once I get it on, then we let it dry, and it will also stiffen up that so that your flowers will last on the cover. And you'll definitely want to wash your brush when you are done. For the inside, we are going to be using some prills. And what prills are, well, it's easier to show you, is when you put glue in the center and you sprinkle those on, you get the effect like that. And I'm using lemon chiffon, and you can use any color you want, but I thought lemon chiffon looks really good, and that's one of my go-tos. Glue, you'll want glue. So first thing I'm going to do is stamp the image, and I'm going to show you which flower in this pack we're going to be using and which ink we will use. So you have two different ones in here. You have a larger and a smaller. And they're both big flowers, but we're going to go with the smaller one. And we're just going to stamp this twice. And we're going to put the Seedless Preserves on there. So I'm going to stamp that twice. Make sure I get on in there in the... There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that. And also it comes with a little, what is that, a little butterfly or so? We're not going to be using that, but you can if you like. Perfect. Now, one thing we can do is Right now, what we can do is do a little coloring. So I'm going to grab my ink daubers out. And the first thing that I would like us to do is grab the milled lavender. And you don't have to completely cover it because we got some other colors going on there. But that's what we're going to do. Okay, we are done with our milled lavender. The next thing that we're going to do is grab our squeezed lemonade. And when we do this, we're only going to swipe on one side lightly. So, and if you're going to the right, then you'll hit the right on each side over there. So just keep going around there. Okay, so we have that. And let's see here. We can go in the middle just a little bit. It's going to get mostly covered. Okay, we are done for now with squeezed lemonade. Let's get our spun sugar. And we're just going to dab a little right on the other side of the yellow there, as best you can. Now we'll touch up the flower when we're done cutting, because sometimes when we put the blades over this and run it through the die cutter, we'll have white edges, and that's okay. That's completely normal. Okay, next thing we're going to do is get out our, where did it go? Give me a moment. I'm going to get my die cutting machine up here. And I'm going to get these out of the way. Now what you do is you grab, this is the die, and on the die we're grabbing the smaller of the two because that's the stamp we used. And you will notice on this that on one side it has like the little cutting blades, and then it's smooth. So what we're going to end up doing is putting the cutting blades down, and you will notice, you'll see your little butterfly there. Well, that's where the shape is. But what you do is you just line this up right on over your flower until it's lined up where it needs to go, and then you run it through your die cutter. So I'm going to grab my die cutting machine really quick, and I'll show you how easy that is. So what I'm using here is the Big Shot Plus, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here, move the camera so you can get a better view of this. It's pretty big, and I think you can see pretty good. And right here is a crank. So the reason why I like the Big Shot Plus is I get a wider platform, so that's just my preference. So what we're going to do is we have the cutting blade down on top of our pieces here, and it kind of tells you on your machine which sandwich to make. But anyway, you just place it down, and again you line up your thing here until it looks good, and then you put the clear plate over it. Now these are brand new plates, and I just replaced mine. And to give you an idea, what happens over time is they will look like this. Very scratched up. They might be a little warped. I got 2 years out of this, and they're still working. And that is completely normal because obviously when you're running it through, the blades will hit something. All right, so all I'm going to do now is make sure I'm lined up, and I'm going to run this through. There goes Sissy. And you'll hear crinkling. And that's totally normal. Okay, so now I'm going to go hush them up and see. I think I got a delivery. But now what you can see really quick is your flower will come pop right out. We're going to do that again when it's a little quieter and you can maybe hear it a little better. And we'll be doing that with our leaves as well. So I'll be... Okay, peace and quiet. I apologize. I do work from home with my loving dogs, so they're kind of my companions during the day. Let's do that again so you can kind of hear the crinkles and stuff. So I'm going to just place that right on over my image and line that up. And remember, the blades are down, and I'm going to stick that right on in there. And I'm going to hold it here until it gets started. And then I'm just going to crank it on through. And those crinkles and pops are completely normal. I'm running out of room on my desk here. Okay. And since this is a brand new cutting plate, things like to stick. So here we go. That's what we got. Okay, I'm gonna actually put this off to the side now, and we're gonna finish up inking these. One thing is if you are not a die cutter, this stamp is actually very easy to hand cut out. It's a larger one. It's pretty simple, just the stamp. Okay, we are done with these for now, and let's get our die cuts out. And actually, I don't think you need to see me die cutting the leaves, but I will do one. We need our Seedless Preserves, and all we're going to do is kind of go a little bit around the edges where we can see the white and at the tip. Just along the tip there. A swipe. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is right here is we're just going to kind of bring out a little bit of color. So I'll start in the middle and brush out. Does not take long to create this flower, that's for sure. And then what we're going to do is we will shape it really quick together. Very easy. So just kind of brush out a little bit. Okay, that looks good. So I have the Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit. It has the larger pad in here. It's very well loved, as you can see, and my different size nibs. Less expensive is the Essentials Kit, where you get this and you get the smaller pad. So I'll demonstrate on this really quick. So what we're first going to do on this is use the smaller of the nibs, and we're just going to start at the tip and go along the edges. Just pull it towards the center. And one thing is don't hold your flower down. Let your flower be free to do what it wants. So we'll just do that because it's going to move around on you. And that. And we're just dragging it in. Starting here with a little pressure, going around the edges, and dragging it in like that. So I'm going to quickly go around the rest of my edges, and you'll find that it kind of crinkles up a bit there for you. Okay, so once you have that, what we're going to do is go from the tip and go straight down the middle. Then we're going to go back to the tip and go in between the center and the outside and just pull it in. And we'll do that on that. So center all the way down, and then in between. And don't hold it, try not to, just let it do what it wants. So I'm going from the center all the way down, and it's going to do some weird stuff on you, but this is just how I ended up doing that to get some of the shaping and stuff. You can do it any way you want. So then in between, so I'll just go a little faster, since you've been able to see what I'm doing here. And like I said, it's going to want to do its own thing. So this is what you're going to end up with. Something like this. So now we're going to carefully pull that out. And we will push down in the center and go around the edges like this. And it should pop up a little for you there. Okay, we're going to do this one now. Same thing. And once you get to, if you're new at this, after a while you'll figure out what you like to do, and that you can do this anyway. There's no right or wrong way to be shaping your flowers. The Deluxe Flower Shaping Kit has a lot of different little nibs and tools. And I usually don't use them when I'm doing tutorials. I do something easy because some people have the essentials, which doesn't give you all the different sizes. So, okay, I think I got all these. And then around the edge there. And you definitely have to do it on the mat because the mat is what's going to give you that spongy to help you. Okay, it is time to glue these two together. And when you do this, you're going to offset it just a little bit there. So I'll just do that, and I'll take the larger end and just kind of push down in the middle to get the glue down and kind of tap it. The next thing we're going to want to do is get our prills. And we're just going to place glue in the center of our flower. And we're going to dump these in there. Now that's quite a bit, so what I do is you can put a tray underneath or whatever, or just kind of pour it back into the thing as best you can. Now right now this flower, I think this is pretty much how it looked before I put the glossy accents, so I'm satisfied with how this looks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to allow the prills to completely dry. Then we're going to get out our glossy accents. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and in the meantime I'm going to stamp twice one of the leaves, and I'm going to die cut that out. And I'm going to show you how I like to eat them, but you can eat them anyway. I'll bring these up a little closer. You can see that there's kind of two tones in there of green. The first thing I like to do is, and I'm using this one, is to use the peeled paint to stamp the color. Okay, now I'm going to get my die plate out that matches this. And I guess I wasn't really clear for those of you who have never used dies or stamps, but a lot of the Heartfelt Creations stamps and dies that I sell, they match or coordinate. So I stamp the image with the leafy accents, and then they make a coordinating leafy accents die that will fit right on over that. So I'm going to get that one out. Now sometimes when you have more intricate stuff, you'll want to get your little poker tool out. Let's ink this up a little bit first before we do anything. So I'm going to grab my little inks for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is the peeled paint, and I'm just going to try and get around the edges dark as best I can in some of these little things. So I'm just going here and there and on the vine. I'm not going to completely color it in dark like this because I do have the lighter to go over it. So this is what I have, and I'm just going to kind of here and there, and then I'm just going to blot some color on, not dark. Now comes the crushed olive. It's a lighter color, so that's what I do, and I just blot that on. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with this one. I'm going to get my die cutting machine out, and I will demonstrate this. And I'm not going to zoom out, I'm just going to do this. You've seen the crank and how that works. So this is going to fit over just like before. just like the flower did. Line that up. I'm going to press this out just a little bit more. Then I'm going to get my cutting pad. All right, here it goes. Now sometimes with more intricate dies you need to do a second pass. I don't believe we need to on this, but I'm going to, and I'm just going to wind it back. And one way to check is from the back. You can see it totally cut through. And my paper is like totally sticking to my glass. But most of the time you just pop these out, and I use my fingers to get it going here, and if I need to use my little pokey tool I will. Most of the time I don't with this one, but as you can see. So we'll get that one ready for the glossy accents, and I'm going to run this one through. So it's very easy. The trick is just making sure that it doesn't slide on you. And one thing about the Big Shot is I like the cranks on this because it's a wider crank. It's not so close together that it, you know. Well, that's one time through. Let's take a peek and see. Yeah, that went through with only one pass. So 2 passes I didn't need to do. And it's going to depend on your die cutting machine too. Whether you need 1, 2 pass, or what kind of intricate die that you're using. Alright, I'm going to get this out of the way. And the pokey tool here, pretty much on any die that has intricate, you just poke out little things that need to be poked out. Like on this one, right up here, that little circle, just kind of poke it out. Alright, it is time to get some glossy accents on these. So I'm just going to lay these out. Oh no, don't get tangled on me. There we go. And here's my flower. And this is just how I like to do it. I like to put a little glossy accents down, and then I use my brush. And this will get clogged on you, by the way. So it's a very sticky substance that dries glossy, and it won't be sticky when it's done. So just be a little patient if you haven't used yours in a little bit. There we go. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to leave these down over here, and I'm just going to swipe some of this on there. And I'm going to go pretty thick, but make sure it gets on there. Now one thing is you're going to need to lift this up once you are done placing the glossy accents on, because it will stick and you'll never get it up. So once you have it done, I like to just place it on another paper, lift it, make sure that it's not stuck. And you'll definitely, when you're done using it, clean your brush. And I always use an old brush. An old cheap brush. Because it'll dry on there and it ain't going to come off. Alright. There we go. Just going to stick that right there for now until I can get a paper. And then here's this. So I'm just going to lift up these top leaves. I think I'm pretty dry. I'm going to get the bottom ones first. Hopefully I'm dry. And what you'll start seeing is your colors are going to start becoming a little more vibrant from the shininess. So I'm going on thick because I like that thickness of the glossy accent, especially on the cover of my, these are going on the cover of an album or whatever I'm doing. So in case it gets knocked around, it does not tear on me. but now you can see it looks wet. And the thing about glossy accents is that's what it's going to do. It's going to look wet like this. Of course it is wet. This is completely dry and it looks wet. So you can see the color's really brightened up for us there. Okay, so now these are just going to dry. I'm going to go wash this off, but that is all there is to it. Came out just absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and again, check to make sure you can still lift them if you have them on a paper or whatever. You don't want it sticking. So just kind of make sure you can still remove it gently while it dries. So this was my idea. I'm going to be doing a large folio. Like I said, the cover and the base will probably be similar or the same as the Lady Vagabond, but the inside's going to be different. The paper that I'm going to be using is this gorgeous, and it reminds me of spring, the Dazzling Dahlia collection by Heartfelt Creation. And we only need one pad. Look at all those beautiful colors. So here's an example of how that flower is going to play in. And now I don't know if I'm going to be using this actual sheet or not, but do you remember on the front of the Lady Vagabond we had this, and if you weren't a die cutter you had a rectangle. Well, we're going to be cutting some plastic, die cutting the plastic, or cutting a piece that's going to fit over that, and we're going to leave it open so we can actually slide that picture back in there, and then you can tack it down. So let's just say we use this on our cover, and we have our piece down. Look how beautiful, and you'll still be able to see your photograph. And since this is the piece that opens up, we don't have to worry about our thing getting in the way of the inside. But look how beautiful that just became. The colors that I used in this flower go right on in the collection, whether we use this one or we use a different one in there. That flower's just going to be beautiful against whatever way we decide to use it. But I thought that that was just beautiful. Here's another way of doing it, and if you had a photograph behind, let me grab one so you can kind of see. You can maneuver your picture back there. And you can also shape your photo if you wanted to go that far, but look at that. That's going to look beautiful on the cover. It's really going to pop it out and look good. Now, it's not going to have the white background. Of course, we're going to have some beautiful decorative paper back there, but that is the sneak peek of what we'll be working on next. So I apologize, I've been missing in action again. I had caught a very bad chest cold, and you may hear it in my voice here. I'm over it. It's just those last bits trying to, you know, and it's not COVID, thank God. But I did want to share this with you and also give you a heads up. Maybe you can practice or make some of these flowers yourself. We'll only need one with 2 leaves. Happy crafting, and I will see you soon on that tutorial.